Welcome everyone to Discover This. Welcome back if you've checked us out before. Today we're going to tell the story of what the Hells Angels say is the first Hells Angels casualty in their war with the Mongols. This ongoing war that started basically back in September of 1977 when the Hells Angels shot 2 Mongols off their motorcycles on the freeway north of Escondido, California. So our story begins in Santee, California, a small community right on the eastern end of San Diego. But at a house here in Santee, 4 Mongols were gathered late at night on January 16th, 1982, or maybe the very early morning, shortly after midnight of January 17th, 1982. And they were just hanging out, maybe drinking some beers, talking, doing whatever. But at some point, one of the Mongols produced a .38 caliber revolver and reportedly made the statement, "Let's go kill an HA." So the 4 Mongols that were in that house gathered up their stuff and they headed out of Santee. And they made their way to the city of Lemon Grove, California, another small town just on the eastern border of the city of San Diego, a few miles or so from Santee. And when they got to Lemon Grove, they went straight to the Horseshoe Tavern, or the Horseshoe Lounge. It's now called Dirk's. In between it was called Dirk's Horseshoe Lounge, but back in January of 1982, it was the Horseshoe Tavern, or the Horseshoe Lounge. And the Mongols parked and they went inside. Inside the Horseshoe Tavern was Raymond Piltz, a full patch member of the San Diego charter of the Hells Angels, also known as Dago. Ray Piltz, better known to friends and family as Fat Ray, wasn't just a full patch member, he was the sergeant at arms of the San Diego charter. So he was an officer. It's kind of a big deal. Once they got inside, they saw Ray Piltz and the fight was on. They attacked Ray with fists and boots. One Mongol even picked up a table and smashed it over Ray Piltz. And then the gun came out, that .38 caliber revolver, and Ray Piltz was shot to death on the floor of the Horseshoe Lounge. And the sheriff's department was called due to the shooting and the fight. And when deputies arrived, they found Ray Piltz dead on the floor of the Horseshoe Tavern. So detectives started investigating, and one by one, all 5 of the Mongols were identified. And one by one, all 5 were arrested, or at least in one case turned themselves in. It took a little bit of time. Remember, at least 2 of them had fled out of state, so it took some time to track them down, but they were all arrested. And among those arrested were Mike Munns, Scott Erickson, and Donald Sullings. Now, if you've watched any of the Mongols documentaries or read any of the books by some of their members, you may have heard the name Mike Munns before or seen the name. I'm going to show you here an indictment from 2008 that the federal government did against the Mongols, just to show you Mike Munns' true name, which is William Michael Munns. You see, Mike Munns also sometimes went by Bill, you know, for William. So Bill Munns, Mike Munns, it's the same guy. And the name Bill may come into play in another video later on down the road. But they were all charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. And they all went to court. And at the end of the day, Mike Munns was convicted of, or he pled guilty to, involuntary manslaughter, so a reduced charge from murder. It is believed that Mike Munns is the one who fired the gun that killed Ray Piltz. What happened to the other 4, I'm not sure. There's not really a whole lot of documentation on that, but Mike Munns pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter, and he was sentenced, or he's given a sentencing day by the judge. And when that sentencing date showed up, he went to court, and Mike Munns' parents had written a letter to the judge And again, if you've read any history about Mike Munns, you know that his father was a San Diego police officer, and he had other relatives who were in law enforcement. They wrote a letter to the judge asking for leniency, basically blaming Mike Munns' troubles on the Mongols and saying that they would help him get back on the straight and narrow. And Mike Munns also wrote a letter to the judge, and he basically asked for leniency and said he was going to fly right, and he needed to support his wife and children, and admitted that he made some bad decisions and promised to do better. At the end of the day, Mike Munns was sentenced to 6 years in prison for the killing of Ray Piltz. Ray Piltz had a Hells Angels funeral. Many Hells Angels came from around the country to pay their respects, friends and family. And he was buried here at Mount Hope Cemetery in San Diego, California, alongside some of his other Hells Angels brothers who had passed away prior to him. If you can't read what it says on his marker, it says, "After all's been said and done, who's to say that it ain't been fun? Hey, hey, Fat Ray, Hells Angels Dago." So that's going to do it, everyone, for this video on the murder of Raymond Piltz. I thank you for watching. I do appreciate you taking the time. There's a lot more videos coming on a wide variety of subjects, so stay tuned, and we will see you next time on Discover This.